Farmer shocked to see disabled child at interview. Revelation changes everything. Bianca stood outside the glimmering glass office building, her heart racing like a wild horse in a storm. A passing cloud cast a shadow over her, heightening every fear she tried to suppress. She glanced down at Lily, her 7-year-old daughter, who was in her wheelchair, bright pink glasses perched atop her small nose. The vibrant colours of the office contrasted starkly with the turmoil brewing inside her chest. It was a world so polished, so pristine, filled with ambition and success, the very things Bianca aspired to. She took a deep breath, the crisp air biting at her lungs. A cacophony of sounds poured from the buzzing office like a swarm of bees. Laughter, chatter, the clinking of coffee cups. It felt like they were all watching her, judging her. Would they see a mother? A determined single mum trying to make her way while carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders? Or would Lily asked, her voice breaking through Bianca's thoughts like a warm hug amidst the cold. Yes, sweetheart, right now, she replied, trying to steady her shaking hands. Bianca wheeled Lily through the entrance, nerves knotting tighter with each roll. The receptionist raised an eyebrow, her gaze darting between Bianca and Lily. A whisper of judgment floated through the air, mixing with the posh surroundings. But before Bianca could let doubt sink in, a man with a warm smile came forward. Ryan, the CEO, charismatic, confident, and unexpectedly grounded. His presence was magnetic. As he crouched to meet Lily's gaze, Bianca felt the atmosphere shift. "I'm Ryan, and who do we have here?" "Lily," her daughter responded shyly, a flicker of awe in her eyes. "Nice to meet you, Lily. You're going to help your mum shine in this interview, right?" Bianca's heart swelled with unexpected gratitude. Maybe she could do this. Her mind raced, armor plating itself against the whispers of inadequacy. They settled into the interview room, where sleek furniture and vibrant art painted a picture of success. Bianca prepared to unleash her passion, her skills. But just as she began to speak, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. A text from Jack, her estranged ex, sent a chill down her spine. "I'll be watching." "Don't think this is over." Panic surged through her, a dark cloud overshadowing the moments of hope. Ryan noticed her change in demeanor, his brow furrowed in concern, and for a brief second, their eyes locked, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Yet, darkness loomed. Jack's shadow was an ever-present weight, particularly because Ryan belonged to that world. A thread connecting them in a way she never anticipated. "Bianca, are you okay?" he asked, genuine concern etched on his face. She hesitated, battling her thoughts. Could she trust this man? Could she accept kindness when trouble felt so close? A flicker of hope danced within, but the walls she built were high and thick. Could they ever crumble enough to allow herself to believe in love again? The air was heavy with unspoken words, and Bianca felt the stakes rise higher than ever. With her daughter by her side and the ghosts of her past biting at her heels, she struggled between fear and the possibility of something more. What was she truly willing to risk to protect her little girl? And what would she do when truths came crashing down around her? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without notice. Just give that red button down below a quick check to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclus. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Bianca's heart thudded in her chest, caught between anxiety and hope. Ryan's warm presence offered a small comfort, yet the weight of Jack's message loomed over her like a thundercloud. Suddenly, just as she began to gather her thoughts, a loud bang echoed from outside the office. Glass rattled, and the shrill scream of a siren pierced through the chatter around them. The room froze. Bianca's spine stiffened, and she felt Lily grip her arm tightly. The receptionist's face drained of colour. "What was that?" someone whispered, glancing through the glass walls to the street below. Ryan stood, his eyes searching for the source of the commotion. "Stay here," he instructed, his voice calm but urgent. He rushed toward the door, leaving Bianca and Lily alone in the suddenly tense room. A few seconds passed, but they felt like an eternity. The distant sounds of chaos filled the air. Bianca twisted in her seat, looking out the window. Her stomach dropped. A crowd was gathering outside. People pointed, faces painted with shock and confusion. "Mummy, what's happening?" Lily asked, her voice quaking. "I don't know, baby," Bianca replied, her heart racing. She felt an icy grip of fear wrapping around her heart as panic surged inside her. Was it an accident? What could it be? Then, like a thunderclap, a loud thud echoed through the building, and another scream, this time more frantic. Ryan burst back into the room, face pale, eyes wide. "There was a shooting. I have to get everyone to safety," he said, his voice steady but thick with tension. "We need to lock the doors." "What?" Bianca gasped. "Lily, stay close to me," Ryan urged, his demeanor changing from charismatic CEO to a protective figure in an instant. He moved to the door, locked it, and took a moment to breathe. But before Bianca could fully grasp the situation, her phone buzzed again. It vibrated wildly in her pocket. She fished it out, heart racing. The screen lit up with another message from Jack. "You'll never be safe." A chill ran down her spine. It couldn't be. Was he involved in this? Was this the threat that hung over her? Her mind spun. "Bianca!" Ryan's voice cut through her thoughts. "We need to!" And then it happened. A loud crash from the door as someone slammed against it. The receptionist's face blanched, and before they could react, the door burst open. A man, wild-eyed and frantic, stumbled into the room. Uniformed police officers rushed in right behind him. "Get down!" shouted one of the officers, and chaos erupted. Bianca grabbed Lily, pulling her close as the office filled with shouting and the clatter of footsteps. The man's panic ignited a firestorm of confusion, and Ryan stepped forward, trying to calm the situation. "Wait!" His voice broke through the noise. "What's going on?" But the man only stared, shaking his head, eyes wide with terror. "It's coming! He's after me! He'll—" The words fell away as the officers grabbed him. He didn't appear threatening, just terrified. But something in his gaze struck Bianca hard. Fear of a kind she recognized. It clawed at her heart. Ryan's expression changed as he processed the scene. He turned to Bianca, realization dawning upon him. "Bianca, what do you know about this?" All eyes turned to her, a suffocating weight settling in. She felt exposed, raw. The memory of Jack's message echoed in her mind, and everything she thought she knew shifted under her like sand. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. How deeply had Jack's shadow entwined itself in her life? And more importantly, could she protect Lily in this whirlwind of violence and fear? The future felt like a dark abyss, and Bianca was standing on the edge, heart pounding, afraid of what might leap out and swallow them whole. Bianca opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. The room pulsed with tension. She felt every eye turning to her like a spotlight, heat flushing her cheeks. Could she confess? Could she say Jack's name in this chaos? She looked at Lily, holding onto her tight. The little girl looked confused, eyes wide, asking for answers without saying a word. Suddenly, a loud voice cut through the panic. "Everyone, back!" An officer pushed his way in with urgency, shoving the wild-eyed man towards the wall. "Everyone get down!" "Why are you doing this?" Ryan shouted. Stepping closer, protective instincts flaring. It felt like every heartbeat crashed like a drum in the silence, and Bianca's thoughts spiraled further out of control. In that moment, the terrifying man looked up. "I didn't mean it! I just wanted to—" But before he could finish, the officer grabbed him, pushing him face first against the wall, handcuffing him roughly. Bianca felt the ground shift under her. Lightning fast. The man turned his head, and their eyes met. In those wild, frantic eyes, she saw something that made her heart drop. A glint of recognition. "Bianca, you don't understand! He's coming for you too!" His panicked words crashed like thunder in her ears. At that moment, a chill wrapped around her like a fog. Her heart raced as she felt a heavy dread crawl up her spine. What was he saying? Who was coming for her? And why? "Set up!" shouted another officer, dragging the man further away. But the words hung in the air like a bitter fruit, sour and unripe. Bianca swallowed hard, fear clawing at her throat. Then, as if mocking her racing thoughts, her phone buzzed again. This time, she knew it wasn't Jack. It was an unknown number. But her instinct shouted that it mattered. Trembling, she glanced down. "You won't escape him! Watch your back!" Her breath quickened. It felt like a hand tightened around her throat. What does this mean? Ryan must have seen the turmoil on her face. "Bianca, we need to move. There's no time." His voice tugged at her, pulling her back from the edge of panic. But just then, the man shouted again, voice raw with fear. "You can't trust him! He's with them!" The air thickened with confusion and anger. Ryan's gaze shifted, a flicker of doubt dancing behind his confident aura. "What do you mean?" he snapped, eyes narrowing, muscles tensing as he braced for the unknown. "Stop!" Bianca shouted, suddenly feeling anger spark within her. "What do you know about Jack?" The room seemed to hold its breath. All eyes, all whispers, turned towards her. Ryan opened his mouth, but what emerged wasn't what she expected. "Jack? You think I know Jack?" His face fell, revealing something deeper, something hidden beneath his charming persona. "I don't just know him. I was involved. I was his partner." A collective gasp filled the room, and Bianca felt her world tilt. Everything she thought she knew shattered. "What?" she found herself asking, her heart racing, each beat pounding in her ears. The crowd started murmuring, eyes darting between them. Curiosity mixing with terror. "You can't be serious!" Panic surged inside her, battling with disbelief. But there it was. The truth spread like wildfire. Ryan wasn't just some kind man trying to help. He carried a piece of her past too. A past that she desperately attempted to bury. Before she could process it all, the door burst open again, and another officer rushed in, wild-eyed. "We need everyone to evacuate now!" Bianca's heart raced in her chest like a drum, and as she looked at Ryan, confusion flooded her veins. Trust shattered like glass underfoot. Had she just led her daughter into a trap? Was Jack already here, lurking in shadows, waiting for the moment to strike? The room seemed to close in on her, feelings colliding. In that moment, the whispers of the uncertain truth and fear merged. There was no clear path forward, only chaos waiting to unfold. And with Jack's shadow looming close, it suddenly felt like they were all trapped in a web thicker than anyone could understand. Bianca's heart raced in her chest like a drum, the weight of Ryan's revelation hitting her like a freight train. He was part of Jack's world. How had she missed that? Confusion swirled in her mind, tangling with fear. Every instinct screamed to protect Lily, to shield her from whatever darkness was looming. "Everyone, evacuate now!" the officer shouted again, urgency lacing every word. The room felt like it was closing in on her, and she glanced around, taking in the wide eyes of the others. Panic clung to the air, thick like smoke. This was wrong. Everything was wrong. Ryan stepped closer, his eyes darting between Bianca and the officers, the woman he knew now standing on a precipice. "Bianca, listen to me. We can get out." "Get away from her," another officer barked, shoving Ryan back. And Bianca felt the ground drip beneath her. All she could hear was the pounding of her heart and the chaos outside, and then a loud bang echoed from the hallway. It sounded like a gunshot. "Get down! Get down now!" The command cut through the air. Panicked voices rising above the confusion. Bianca instinctively pulled Lily closer, shielding her small frame with her own body. Ryan looked at her, hesitation flickering in his eyes. "I swear, I had no idea. I didn't know who he—" "Shut up!" Another officer moved in, pushing him further away, and in that overwhelming moment of confusion, something terrifying happened. The wild-eyed man, still in a panic against the wall, broke free from the officer's grip, but instead of running, he twisted around and lunged for something in his pocket. Screams erupted around them as he pulled out a glinting object, a gun. Bianca's breath caught in her throat. Time slowed, every second stretching painfully. "No!" she shrieked, instinctively doubling down, her arms wrapping tightly around Lily. "Drop it!" an officer shouted, panic spreading like wildfire. The room erupted, bodies shifting, people shouting. The wild-eyed man froze, panic coursing through him, eyes darting, as if he realized how fast it spiraled out of control. But what happened next shook Bianca to the core. From the corner of the room, a voice called out, calm and steady, cutting through the chaos. "Uncle Frank, it's okay. Please don't do this." All heads turned. The wild-eyed man, Frank, looked shocked. Confusion washed over his features as Bianca's heart dropped. "What? How did she know him? You don't understand. They're coming for her. They'll kill her if you don't listen." He was pleading, desperation spilling from his lips. "She will—" "Stop!" another officer yelled. But the room spun. Then, like a jigsaw piece snapping into place, pieces of Bianca's life started to shift. She recognized the voice. It wasn't just any voice. It was Lily's voice, her sweet daughter, who had spoken words no 7-year-old should ever echo. Lily clutched her mother's hand, tears pooling in her eyes. "Uncle Frank, don't!" Bianca's world shattered around her. "Uncle Frank!" Her mind spun wildly, trying to piece together the horror. Jack had never mentioned Frank, had he? Panic and disbelief washed over her. Could Lily really know this man? Her daughter's innocent connection to this madness felt like lightning striking twice. A flash of anger ignited within her. "You knew?" she demanded, turning to Lily, searching for some explanation. "Any reason for this connection? How do you know him?" I didn't want to say," Lily stammered, her little voice trembling with fear. "But he's a friend. He helps us." Bianca's mouth fell open, her mind racing. What did that mean? A friend? In this chaos, how could that be? The tension in the room hung like a thread, one swift movement away from snapping. Frank's eyes darted from Lily to Bianca, and in that split second, everything shifted again. Ryan's expression morphed to one of horror, realization dawning full force. You were in on this?" His voice cracked as disbelief sunk in. But before anyone could process it, the door burst open again, revealing a dark silhouette that froze the air. A figure stepped in, drenched in shadows, a menacing smile spread across their lips. "I see you found family," the figure crooned, their voice dripping with malice. "Such a sweet reunion." Bianca felt the ground shift under her as her entire world unraveled into chaos. Darkness crowded in, enveloping them with a sinister fate waiting at every corner. She closed her eyes, her heart pounding, every instinct screaming for her to protect Lily. They were trapped in a nightmare, and the depth of betrayal cut sharper than any weapon. What was about to unfold? Who was this dark figure? Would they escape the grip of Jack's world, or dive even deeper into a truth more twisted than she could imagine? The stakes had never felt so unbearably high. Bianca's heart raced in her chest like a drum, the weight of Ryan's revelation hitting her like a freight train. He was part of Jack's world. How had she missed that? Confusion swirled in her mind, tangling with fear. Every instinct screamed to protect Lily, to shield her from whatever darkness was looming. "Everyone evacuate now!" the officer shouted again, urgency lacing every word. The room felt like it was closing in on her, and she glanced around, taking in the wide eyes of the others. Panic clung to the air, thick like smoke. This was wrong. Everything was wrong. Ryan stepped closer, his eyes darting between Bianca and the officers. The woman he knew now standing on a precipice. "Bianca, listen to me! We can get out! Get away from her!" Another officer barked, shoving Ryan back, and Bianca felt the ground drop beneath her. All she could hear was the pounding of her heart and the chaos outside, and then a loud bang echoed from the hallway. It sounded like a gunshot. "Get down! Get down now!" The command cut through the air, panicked voices rising above the confusion. Bianca instinctively pulled Lily closer, shielding her small frame with her own body. Ryan looked at her, hesitation flickering in his eyes. "I swear I had no idea. I didn't know who he—" "Shut up!" Another officer moved in, pushing him further away, and a wild-eyed man, still in a panic against the wall, broke free from the officer's grip. But instead of running, he twisted around and lunged for something in his pocket. Screams erupted around them as he pulled out a glinting object. A gun! Bianca's breath caught in her throat. Time slowed, every second stretching painfully. "No!" she shrieked, instinctively doubling down, her arms wrapping tightly around Lily. "Drop it!" an officer shouted, panic spreading like wildfire. The room erupted, bodies shifting, people shouting. The wild-eyed man froze, panic coursing through him, eyes darting as if he realized how fast it spiraled out of control. But what happened next shook Bianca to the core. From the corner of the room, a voice called out, calm and steady, cutting through the chaos. "Uncle Frank, it's okay!" "Please don't do this." All heads turned. The wild-eyed man, Frank, looked shocked. Confusion washed over his features as Bianca's heart dropped. What? How did she know him? "You don't understand. They're coming for her. They'll kill her if you don't listen." He was pleading, desperation spilling from his lips. "She will stop!" another officer yelled. But the room spun. Then, like a jigsaw piece snapping into place, pieces of Bianca's life started to shift. She recognized the voice. It wasn't just any voice. It was Lily's voice, her sweet daughter, who had spoken words no 7-year-old should ever echo. Lily clutched her mother's hand, tears pooling in her eyes. "Uncle Frank, don't!" Bianca's world shuttered around her. Uncle Frank! Her mind spun wildly, trying to piece together the horror. Jack had never mentioned Frank. Had he? Panic and disbelief washed over her. Could Lily really know this man? Her daughter's innocent connection to this madness felt like lightning striking twice. A flash of anger ignited within her. "You knew?" she demanded, turning to Lily, searching for some explanation, any reason for this connection. "How do you know him?" I didn't want to say," Lily stammered, her little voice trembling with fear. "But he's a friend. He helps us." Bianca's mouth fell open, her mind racing. What did that mean? A friend? In this chaos? How could that be? The tension in the room hung like a thread, one swift movement away from snapping. Frank's eyes darted from Lily to Bianca, and in that split second, everything shifted again. Ryan's expression morphed to one of horror, realization dawning full force. You were in on this?" His voice cracked as disbelief sunk in. But before anyone could process it, the door burst open again, revealing a dark silhouette that froze the air. A figure stepped in, drenched in shadows. A menacing smile spread across their lips. I see you found family. The figure pruned, their voice dripping with malice. Such a sweet reunion. Bianca felt the ground shift under her as her entire world unraveled into chaos. Darkness crowded in, enveloping them with a sinister fate waiting at every corner. She closed her eyes, her heart pounding, every instinct screaming for her to protect Lily. They were trapped in a nightmare, and the depth of betrayal cut sharper than any weapon. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face she recognized. Her breath caught. "Jack!" He grinned, a horrifying look of victory on his face. "Miss me?" At that moment, the pieces clicked in place. How Frank knew Lily, how Ryan had fit into this dark puzzle. Jack had woven a net tighter than she could have imagined. "Mummy!" Lily whimpered, clenching her hand tighter around Bianca's. The weight of Jack's presence bore down on them. "It's all going according to plan, darling," Jack purred, eyes glinting with menace. "Your little family reunion will be unforgettable." Bianca stood frozen, caught between the warmth of her daughter's grasp and the chilling realization of everything she had failed to see. Jack wasn't just a shadow from her past. He was the architect of this chaos. The air thickened with dread. What would Jack do next? Would he strike now, or play with them, relishing the torment? Bianca's heart raced, fear emerging in waves. She had fought to safeguard Lily, but now the truth hung like a blade ready to drop. There was no escape in sight, only darkness closing in. The world around her began to blur, and as Jack's laughter echoed off the walls, an unshakable thought crossed her mind. This was only the beginning. Bianca felt the air freeze around her as Jack stepped forward, his The chaos of the room faded into a muffled backdrop. Her heart thundered, the realization crashing over her like a wave. Could it really be over? "Miss me?" Jack repeated, and that twisted grin made her stomach churn. "Get away from my daughter!" Bianca shouted, fury overtaking her fear. But Jack only laughed, the sound colder than ice. "Your daughter, how sweet," he mocked, glancing at Lily, who was clinging to Bianca as if she was the only thing holding her up. "You still think you can protect her?" "Shut up," Ryan interjected, his voice sharp with authority. But Jack merely glanced at him, a flicker of disdain in his eyes. Just then, the door swung open again, and another officer burst through, weapon drawn, panic etched on their face. "Everyone, we have to!" Before the officer could finish, the lights flickered ominously and everything plunged into darkness. "What?" The shouts and chaos erupted anew, confusion fracturing the tension momentarily. Bianca instinctively tightened her grip around Lily, the panic rising like bile in her throat. "No! No! Stay back!" Jack's voice cut through, drenched in frenzy. He stumbled forward, a silhouette against the inky blackness, as the sound of crashing and shouting erupted behind him. A surge of noise poured in from the hallway, muffled shouts colliding with the heavy silence. Then, a gunshot rang out, followed by an anguished scream. Bianca's heart dropped. "Lily, stay close!" she hissed, pulling her daughter even tighter. Everything felt like a sickening nightmare. And then it happened. An explosion ripped through the hallway. The sudden blast filled the room with a blinding light, throwing everyone off their feet. Bianca hit the ground hard, the impact jarring Lily, who cried out in shock. Dust filled the air, and she coughed, shielding her daughter. The noise cascaded around them, and her mind spun. Was it over? Were they safe? When the dust settled, she strained to see through the haze. The shadows shifted and danced, revealing bodies sprawled on the ground. Some unrecognizable, others moving. Jack was gone, the force of the explosion flinging him backward. "Mummy!" Lily screamed, her voice piercing through Bianca's clouded mind. But it wasn't just fear she felt. In that instant, as chaos surrounded them, her vision sharpened. Amidst the crumpled forms, one face emerged clearly. It was Jack, lying motionless. "Jack?" Her voice was a mere whisper, disbelief flooding her heart, and then the twist hit hard. It wasn't over. From behind the fallen debris, a figure crawled, dragging themselves slowly. Dressed in a dark coat, they looked familiar. A deep sense of dread filled Bianca. "No, please, no." As they came into the light, she felt the breath leave her lungs. It was Frank, his face smeared with blood, but eyes wide open. "I couldn't let them take you," he gasped. "Not after what I just found out." "What?" Bianca's heart hammered against her ribs. "What do you mean?" "Your mother, Bianca. She—" A jagged laugh erupted from the shadows as Jack pushed himself up, wincing in pain. "Such a pity, Frank. You shouldn't have come back. Now, you'll see why this was never about you at all." The room shifted again, reality twisting in ways Bianca never thought possible. Not Jack, but Frank? What did he mean about her mother? "Mummy!" Lily whimpered, her small voice snapping Bianca back to focus. "What's happening?" she shouted, a sense of urgency knitting her brows together. But Frank continued, days shifting between Jack and Bianca, frail but determined. "The truth! Your mother was part of this from the beginning. She was working for them." The words fell like a bomb, reverberating through Bianca's mind. "No, that can't be true!" Frank's eyes pleaded with her. "It's all connected. Your life, my life. We're caught in something bigger." As confusion surged through her, the shadow of Jack loomed closer. "See the madness unfold, Bianca. Your family isn't what you think. Her world spun on its axis. Not just a battle with Jack, but a fight against the very blood that gave her life." The truth struck her deeply, rendering her vulnerable, lost amidst a growing storm. She felt the room pulse, breathing heaviness, panic clawing at her throat. In that moment, Bianca stood on the edge of revelation and despair. What lay before her was not just Jack's darkness, but the shadowy outlines of her own past, where trust and betrayal tangled into a net she never wanted to confront. She held Lily close, desperate to shield her from this monster. "Jack, this ends now!" she shouted, gaze blazing. But Jack only grinned wider, the kind of grin that sent a chill racing down her spine. "I think you're mistaken, love," he retorted, his voice smooth like ice. The sound of chaos continued around them. But in that moment, It felt as if time stood still, a breath before the plunge. Then, without warning, a deafening blast rang out again. A shriek pierced the air. Jack was thrown off his feet, slamming into the far wall. Bianca ducked down, instinctively tightening her grip around Lily, protecting her from the chaos. But then a surge of energy flowed through her. Was there a way to fight back? Heart pounding, she caught a glimpse of movement. A figure stepping through the smoke, silhouetted against the blinding light. It was him! The figure she had seen before, the shadow slipping closer. Just when I thought the party couldn't get any better. The voice was low and dangerous. It was someone they hadn't expected. Frank. But he was no longer trembling or frightened. He stood tall, eyes unyielding, a wild grin on his face, like he had found a hidden weapon amongst the wreckage of chaos. Frank, what are you doing? Bianca's stomach dropped, confusion swirling around her. Wasn't he the frightened man they thought he was? I've got a plan, he shouted, and without another thought, he hurled something into the room. A flash erupted as he activated a smoke grenade. The air filled with a thick, choking fog that obscured everything. Bianca coughed, struggling to see. She heard footsteps, frantic, unsure, all chaos around her, and then silence. The smoke began to clear, revealing not just scattered bodies, but also shifting shadows. Where had Jack gone? Two hulking figures weren't just sprawled out in pain. They were advancing, running straight toward Bianca and Lily. Move! Ryan's voice cut through, firm and desperate. Bianca grabbed Lily's hand tighter, pulling her against her side. But as the figures drew closer, the horror unfolded. Jack wasn't alone. From behind him emerged another familiar face, one Bianca thought she had lost for good. Mum? She gasped, disbelief clawing at her throat. It was her mother, standing there, eyes cold and resolute, as if she belonged in this nightmare. Bianca, her mother said, voice eerie calm, as if nothing was wrong. You don't understand what's at stake. What's at stake? Bianca screamed, fury and anguish twisting her heart. Jack laughed again, a vile sound. Oh, but this changes everything. You think this is life? You're destined for more, my dear. In that moment, everything she thought she understood about family, about loyalty, it shattered. Frank's true alliance burned like a mark against her soul. Jack and her mother were a deadly duo, weaving a web deeper than she could have ever imagined. The revelation clung to her like the smoke, thick and suffocating. Where were they leading her? How had her own mother slipped into this? Mom, you don't have to do this, she pleaded, the words bursting from her like a frail hope. But her mother's eyes remained steel. It's time you learned the truth, sweetheart. Then suddenly, the ground beneath them shook. An explosion whipped through the room again, and everything spiraled into chaos. Walls collapsed, dust flying into the air, and screams echoed all around. Bianca scrambled, clutching Lily, desperately avoiding the falling debris. Was this truly the end? Through the haze, she caught the glint of something. A flashlight flickering amid the rubble, illuminating faces blurred by smoke. Shadows shied away from threatening shapes, merging into one. But then everything tumbled into darkness again. Masks of illusion fell, revealing cracks in every relationship she thought she understood. In that suffocating instant, surrounded by chaos, the question haunted her deeply. Was anybody truly who they said they were? As the cries intensified, she fought to find the truth beneath the lies, grasping for a flicker of light in the encroaching shadows. What was about to be revealed? Bianca felt the air thicken around her, the darkness swirling like a living thing. Jack's laughter rang in her ears, cold and mocking. But she couldn't afford to let it drown her reason. The chaos faded. It was just the four of them now, trapped in a maelstrom of betrayal and fear. She tightened her grip on Lily, heart pounding fiercely. "Mom!" Lily whimpered, tears streaming down her cheeks. Bianca's heart broke at her daughter's fear. "I'm here! I won't let anything happen to you!" But in the heart of the storm, Jack took a step closer, eyes gleaming with a twisted kind of joy. "You can't really think this is over, can you? You're just a pawn in this game." Frank surged forward, bold and wild now. "You don't have to listen to him, Bianca. Remember what I said. This is about more than just Jack." The smoke began to clear, revealing all the lies that had once felt so solid beneath her feet. And before Bianca could even grasp how deep those lies ran, everything erupted in a flash of colour. Lights flickered, strobing the room with ominous hues. Then everything went white. The shout of confusion from the officers mixed with cries from the crowd as the light dimmed again and a new presence came into view. A rush of shadows swirled, and before she could comprehend, a figure emerged into the chaos. It was Mary, her old friend from childhood. Someone she thought had vanished years ago. "Bianca!" Mary yelled, but her voice echoed strangely, almost trapped. "I couldn't let him have you, not again." "Mary?" Bianca stammered, disbelief twisting her gut. How did she fit into this? Hadn't they lost touch after everything with her mother? But Mary charged ahead, urgency knitting her brow. "This is bigger than Jack. Don't you see? They're all in this together. Your mother, Jack, and even Frank. You're the key to it all." "Shut up!" Jack roared, rage boiling over at the mention of Frank, who now stared in shock at Mary. "You're just trying to protect her. Give up, Mary. You know what happens next." Before anything could sink in, a gunshot rang out, a sharp sound that pierced through the madness, striking Bianca's heart. Time froze, her breath caught. Frank was suddenly at the forefront of the chaos, staggering backward, blood blooming across his shirt. The world spun violently, shock sweeping through her like ice. "Frank!" Bianca screamed, heart racing as she reached for him, but he dropped to his knees, face twisted in pain. "Lily, stay back!" she shouted, pushing her daughter to the wall, panic rising like a tsunami inside her. Jack stepped forward, collecting himself so quickly it sent chills down Bianca's spine. He bent down, whispering something to Frank. The words were just muffled noises to her, but they dripped with malice. Mary edged closer, eyes wide with realization. "You fool! You can't trust him!" But just as tension crackled in the air, Frank's gaze caught Bianca's, desperate and pleading. "They're here for you, Bianca. I didn't want you to see, but..." Then another explosion of light blinded them all. Voices collided in the growing chaos, confusion spiraling back into disarray. In the uproar, suddenly it all clicked, an understanding barely grasped. "You weren't just protecting Lily, were you?" she shouted at Frank, words tumbling out before she could stop them. "You were trying to protect me." "Bianca," he breathed, but then everything went dark again as the lights flickered wildly. And in that moment of darkness, a scream shattered the air, echoing hauntingly. It was unmistakable, piercing through the thick fog. Bianca's heart dropped as the sound registered in her mind. It was Lily. Her breath hitched, panic flooding her senses. The room cavorted in uncertainty, shadows twisting into faces lost to the haze. As silence descended, her heart raced. Where was Lily? What had happened? Just when everything had begun to unravel, it felt more like a sickening game. In that moment, Bianca stood at the edge of despair, confronting the fracture in her own world. The ties binding all these characters twisted in ways she couldn't fully understand. What had just been revealed? "Lily!" she screamed, urgency coursing through her veins. But where was she? The horror of the unknown clung to her, and her frantic search only revealed the emptiness left in its wake. Bianca felt the air thickening, the darkness swirling around her like an approaching storm. Each second stretched painfully, her heart racing as she scanned the room, frantically searching for Lily. "Lily!" she called, her voice breaking. Fear clawed at her throat. Then, out of the shadows, a loud crash echoed, and the lights flickered back on. What she saw froze her in place. There, on the ground, surrounded by debris, lay an object. It was a small, silver charm bracelet glinting in the flickered light. A familiar charm dangled, a tiny pink butterfly, one she recognized instantly. "Mummy!" Lily's voice pierced the air, but the joy in it felt wrong. The sound sent a quake through Bianca's heart. She turned, panic flooding her senses. "Where are you, baby?" Suddenly, another figure emerged from the side, an officer, urging people back. "Everyone, clear this area now!" He stormed forward, pushing through the chaos. "Stay away!" Jack shouted, voice laced with fury. But before anyone could respond, the officer moved toward the silver bracelet, picking it up carefully, as if it were the most fragile thing in the world. Bianca's breath caught. "No," she whispered. But before she could process it, the room erupted. Another loud crash, and the door flew open. This time, it wasn't an officer or ally. It was a woman, striking, fierce, with dark hair and eyes full of rage. "Get away from her!" she screamed, glaring at Jack. In an instant, she lunged forward, shoving him aside with unexpected strength. "Who the hell are you?" Jack snapped, stunned. "Enough of your games, Jack!" The woman spat, wrenching the bracelet from the officer's hand. "You need to leave now! All of you!" Bianca's heart raced with a mix of disbelief and confusion. "Who are you?" she managed to ask, her voice trembling. But then the woman turned to Bianca, eyes softening for just a moment. "You have to listen. I'm here to protect you from him." "Protect me? From who?" "The truth is that I'm your sister," she declared, voice steady, cutting through the haze like a blade. The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. "Sister, what are you talking about?" But the woman didn't back down. "I'm not lying, Bianca. I know it sounds insane. Jack always wanted you to think you were alone. But he's been lying to you about everything. Our family, our past." Bianca felt the world tilting beneath her, shock gripping her like a vice. I don't even know you. Yet I'm the only one here who cares what happens next. You need to trust me and protect Lily. He's been planning this for years, hiding the truth so that you never find us. The revelation struck hard. Everything she thought she knew shattered around her. Jack's manipulation, her mother's secrets, the darkness surrounding her. But Jack wasn't going to lie down without a fight. "You'll regret this, Emma," he sneered, stepping closer, rage radiating from him. "You don't know what you're doing." "Yes, I do," Emma's voice echoed, fierce and unyielding. She moved closer to Bianca, determination fueling her every step. "I'm not going to let him take either of you." Then, in a beat of heart-stopping silence, the room erupted with a gunshot. "No!" Bianca screamed, instinctively pushing Lily behind her. But they were all frozen, horror gripping them. Jack fell back, but didn't go down. As the haze cleared again, there was blood on his shirt, a wild look in his eyes. "Now you've crossed the line!" Jack bellowed, fury and pain evident in every word. And in that moment, everything escalated. The room spun with shouts, cries, and panic. But amidst the chaos, one question echoed louder than the rest. Had the enemy been staring her in the face all along? As the walls seemed to close in, Bianca felt another tightening in her chest, one that held the weight of a terrifying new truth. Could she trust Emma? Would Frank's involvement mean the end of everything she fought to protect? The dance of shadows continued, but now the stakes had risen, and the fear of betrayal felt almost palpable. What more secrets were waiting behind closed doors? And for the first time, everything felt really uncertain. Bianca's heart raced as chaos enveloped them. Jack's sinister laughter echoed in her ears, but she couldn't let it drown her resolve. Holding on to Lily, panic surged through her. "Stay close," she urged, her voice trembling. In a sudden burst of energy, Emma, her sister, stepped between them and Jack. "I won't let you hurt them," she declared, fire in her eyes. Jack sneered, eyes darkening as he was a wolf cornered. "You think you can stop me?" he spat, words laced with venom. A deafening crash shattered the air as another explosion rocked the room. Dust and debris swirled, blinding everyone momentarily. Bianca pulled Lily down, shielding her small frame with her own body. The world turned to chaos around them. Screams filled the air, and in that heartbeat, fear and desperation melded into an unyielded resolve. "Mummy, I'm scared," Lily whimpered, her small hands gripping Bianca's shirt tightly. "I'm here, baby. I won't let anything happen to you." Bianca's heart raced painfully, but amid the panic, a spark of determination ignited inside her. They would not lose. When the dust settled, Jack stood up, brushing himself off, a twisted grin creeping across his face. But before he could speak, Frank rushed in, still reeling from the earlier gunshot wound, his face a mask of frantic urgency. "Bianca, you need to trust Emma. She's right. Jack has been manipulating us all." Jack scoffed, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, what a happy family reunion this is. But you should know your sister doesn't care about you. The truth hung in the air like a thick fog, but Bianca needed to focus. It's over, Jack. You won't control us anymore. Suddenly, more officers stormed in, weapons drawn. Everyone on the ground, they shouted, taking control of the disorder. This was the opening Bianca needed. Now! She shouted, urging Emma and Frank toward the exit. But Jack, rattled but determined, lunged. You're not going anywhere! Time freeze-framed the moment. Heart racing, she hurled herself forward. Lily, run! She yelled, adrenaline pushing her to act. And then everything exploded. A cacophony of noise, confusion, and raw emotion. Bodies stumbled, officers shouted, and amid it all, she felt a familiar pull, a connection. Bianca! Emma's voice cut through. Go! Bianca shouted, her heart pounding as she fought through the chaos, grasping Lily's tiny hand. This way! Just as they burst outside into the cold air, Bianca turned back. Jack was being led away, the defeat evident in his eyes. But for a moment, it felt as if this wasn't truly over. Once outside, with the chilly wind whipping around them, Bianca fell to her knees, holding Lily tightly. It's okay, baby, we're safe now, she whispered. But the tremble in her voice told another story. As the sirens wailed in the distance, and the darkness began to recede, she saw Emma beside her, face streaked with tears. We're family. We can face this together, she said, reaching for Bianca's hand. Bianca nodded, a flicker of hope igniting within her. They had survived the storm, but knew the reverberations of this night would last forever. I don't know what's next, she breathed out, but we'll figure it out. And as dawn began to break over the horizon, spilling hues of orange and gold across the sky, a sense of finality washed over her. They had overcome this battle, but the war against their pasts would be ongoing. Let's go home, Bianca said, pulling Lily closer. They took their first steps away from the chaos together, feeling the first bites of a new beginning take shape. But in the back of her mind, the shadows lingered. This wasn't just an end. What other secrets lay hidden, waiting to unfurl in their lives? Before you go, listen up. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button now to catch our exclusive stories as they drop. Don't forget to smash that like button to boost the algorithm so more people can enjoy. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments too. What do you think will happen next? And please, share this video with 5 friends who need to see this ending unfold. This is your moment to support the channel and be part of our incredible community. Thank you for joining this journey with us.